Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Who the heck are we for? Brucey.
Good afternoon, Brucey and Johanna. Welcome to all of you here who have stayed with us after church and to all who are online. I wanted to welcome you here to this wonderful event that we have with Bruce and Johanna Zimmerman. You're going to hear many perspectives and some that you will recognize because of when you were born. Some you won't recognize, but you'll be very interested to learn about their perspectives having gone through World War II. Johanna, right in the midst of all of the dangers. I also want to say that the two of them have been not the founding members, but they came very early on into Naples Community Church following Kurt and all of you who are here who are the founders, and started worshiping, I think you said, in the Telford building. So very early on, and we're pleased about that. They have a wonderful journey with God as they've been here with us, and they have a wonderful story to tell. I'm going to leave it to you all, so without further ado, Johanna and Bruce.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good morning. Glad to be here. This is kind of a new thing to me, but I'll work through it all right, and it's great to be here. So,
Let me introduce a few people. We're here, myself, namely. Where's the button here?
Just put it to your mouth.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. A little preview. First of all, thanks for having us here. And I was looking at some of the information, promotional stuff that she does. Well done, I might say. In fact, everything is well done. And I must say, and I've done a lot of this type thing in my life, and your preparation was excellent, and you're really a star among stars here at NCH. So let's hear it for Christy. Thank you so much, Christine. And a little housekeeping here. Is the crowd control people here yet? And I don't see it. Oh, the table's set up. Afterward, we're going to be doing a book signing and a DVD signing, and they'll be available for sale. And for the parishioners here, they get a special discount. So we're looking forward to that. Anything else that we need to talk about before we get started?
no, I'm ready.
Other than your mother and so forth?
Let's get to it.
Okay. Now, the format will be, by the way, Johanna is going to start out, and she's going to start from Europe and take it up to when she comes to the United States and meets yours truly. Then I'll take over and do the same thing. Then we'll both come together at the glorious time of our wedding and go from there. And by that time, you'll all be asleep. Without any further ado, I'll let my wife take over.
Okay, finally. Okay, okay. I was born in the Netherlands, and when I was real small, things were pretty good, pretty normal. Here, I don't know if you really see it, but in the back there, you can see my parents. My mother was quite good looking, really. There's nothing there.
Hold it a minute. Oh, the slide's not moving. Technical problem here. I think the.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So on the picture, whoops.
Here we go. Here. So let's go back to where we're here.
Back.
Where are you going? She's
well-
going first. first.
I know, but you went all the way down to the end. There, see, it says current and then next. So there we go.
Okay, so on this picture, you see my parents. It's their engagement picture. And kind of a big family photo there, very, very old, as you can see. My father is in there somewhere. Oops, you just did it again. You moved everything. Although on the left is a picture of me as a baby and my brother. So the first couple years, everything was quite normal. I was a little kid. My mother was wonderful, and so everything was great. Until my dad decided to take a position as a manager of a Ford dealership, which was on the border of Germany and Holland. And at the same time, the war broke out. So we were stuck there. And my dad looked quite Jewish. And so they, quote unquote, at first arrested him. And we were scared to death because we were right by the train station who was transporting a lot of Jewish people from there to Germany to the concentration camps. In fact, I was one day standing in front of our window, and it was a main street, big street. And here was a large group of Jewish people marching. Some of them were very old and didn't walk very well. The Nazis were on each side with their guns, and if I saw when somebody didn't move very well, or they got kicked and hit with the guns. So they went to the train station, and there were cars, cattle cars, waiting for them to go to Auschwitz or any of those places. So we had a Jewish man that we did hide, and we hid him in the basement. The basement was actually part of the garage, and there were all tires stacked. So if the Germans came, they didn't look very close. They saw all these tires and walked away. So whenever there was a siren going off, we'd go out there too in the basement. And if I think about it, I still smell the rubber of all these tires because sometimes we were there for a very long time. My mother sent me to the bakery one day to get some bread. So I went to the bakery, and as I was there, sirens were going off. And everybody went down in the basement of the bakery. And when it was all over, which took a while, I grabbed my bread and walked back home. Unfortunately, as I'm walking back home, I see my girlfriend laying on the side of the road, and she's dead. She wasn't shot dead. It was the air pressure of the bomb that fell across the street. The air pressure of that was so tremendous that it just blew her up. She looked whole, but she was blown up. It was terrible. So I cried home, And as kids are, life goes on. So towards the end of the war, the Germans wanted our condo to use. So they took us to the train station, which is scary. Train stations were scary at that time. And put us in cattle cars to go through Germany to the north, where we were divided up and living with different families. The cattle cars were awful. It was dark, there were no windows. It was cold because it was snowing. And we went through Germany to the northern part of Holland, and no bathrooms. So you had to go in a corner, which was awful. But anyway, we had survived, and I have a story to tell about food. Food during the war was not easy to get if you lived in the city. We lived in a smaller town, wasn't quite as tough. And my dad always had gasoline to take to the farmers and trade the gasoline for food. And the farmers really liked that because they had no way of getting gasoline. My dad had a friend who went to my dad and said, "You know, I have a rabbit for you to eat." And my dad said, "Oh, that's fantastic." It was all cleaned and everything. Well, after the war, the man came up to my dad, his friend, and said, "Remember the rabbit I sold you during the war?" My dad said, "Yeah, it was very good." He said, "Well, it really was a cat." I'm going like, "Oh my God." My mother said, "Oh, gee." But it was very good and very tender. In case you ever get desperate, you know, use your cat. So anyway, those are kind of the war stories, and there's some horrible, horrible stories, of course. And thank God we were spared. So when we went back to our condo, my mother sat down and cried because there was nothing left. It was all, no dishes, it was all, everything was broken. And she said, "Just learn a lesson from this, Yoka. This is material things. We can do without. It's not worth it to cry over it. We're okay, we have our health, and that's it." And I have to say that the church were full during the war. Everybody was praying, everybody was praying. But it's sad to say that after the war, slowly but surely, the churches emptied out again. And to this day, mainly in Europe that I know of, the churches are pretty empty. It's not like here. People do go to church here, most people. So anyway, so that's the story about my living during the war. So after the war, everything, it's amazing how fast things got back to normal. Went to school, high school, started university, but then I met a German soldier who was stationed in France, and I married him and came here. And I was homesick for two years. The adjustment was that I lived in a city in the Netherlands, my husband had told me that there's no difference between small towns and big cities in the United States. Well, he takes me to a town of 300. Well, that was quite a shock and an adjustment if you're not used to that.
Close to your mouth.
So, pardon me?
The mic, keep it low.
Oh, okay, sorry. Anyway, so that worked out fine for a while, and then unfortunately, I did get a divorce and had to go to work, and I didn't know much about the United States. So I worked in an office first and realized you can't make, especially as a woman, you can't make much money sitting in an office chair. So I started working as a sales rep, and that worked out much better. So, still having trouble, sorry. Okay. Is this better? Yeah? Okay. So, all went well, but it was hard, single mom with 2 teenage boys, until I met Bruce.
Well, thank you. That leaves me about 3 minutes. But you may want to go out and put more meters in your cars or whatever. I'm used to getting up, and I guess we're staying down here. Let me use the slide clicker, hopefully, with a little more skill. Can you hear me okay? Yes. All right. Okay, we try to go forward. That's what. Am I going backwards or forward? The next. I'm an engineer, believe it or not.
You got your.
Oh, I got it.
There you go. Okay.
All right, I got it. I got it. Okay, thank you. Could you stay here and do this for me? Before we get started, I just wanted to make a side note that I've had some tough, unusual timings. I've had some really tough tests, the urinary infection. So they did, I don't know how many different things this week, culminating with I call it a ram job, going up and looking into my bladder. And so if I seem a little confused and maybe not saying everything correctly or whatever, I hope you understand. Unfortunately, they did find a tumor in my bladder, and it looks unfortunately malignant, but they won't know until they do some more testing. So that's where I am on that. When we're talking about the information that Chris gave me, the word proud keeps coming up, and proud to do this, proud to do that. So I kind of look at that as in 2 ways, and think that I'll be talking a little bit about that in terms of my situation. I'm proud. What are you the proudest of? I'm proud of my service to my country and my God and my family, not in that order, God, country. And I'm proud of how I handled some of the life's challenges, which I think you're geared to what your life challenges are and how you overcome them and your obstacles. The first one being my birth. My mother had a breakdown when I was born. No wonder. Look at me. But on the serious side, she was told that her life was at risk for the baby and herself. Well, I had a sister that's 10 years old, older than I am, followed by 2 stillborn sisters, which my mother obviously made it through. And the last one popped out me. The only thing I can say is that I'm glad she and my father didn't believe in abortions. So, or I wouldn't be here, obviously. Then the next challenge was let me see if I can get this. I'm getting behind on my slides. My family. Why is this not moving? Oh, there it is. And there I am in all my glory. And, okay, okay. There we are. And with school. And in school, I was a late bloomer. I was held back a year. I didn't want, my father insisted that I go, and I did. I had a lot of problems. I didn't adapt well. I loved to play sports, played a lot of basketball. But unfortunately, couldn't make any of the high school teams. It was a small body in a big school system, big school. It led me really to an easier way where there was less talent and so forth. And so that was the church leagues. And then as long as I got into church then, and I became quite good in that league. And then I got involved in other things. And it became kind of a home to me. I was into scouting, ended up being a senior patrol leader. I was president of the youth fellowship and other things. So that worked out. Then by the time I got out of high school, I matured a little bit. I got bigger in the last year, and I went to Drexel Institute of Technology, which was a city campus next to the famous university, right next, smack adjacent to University of Pennsylvania with the Ivy Leaguers. And this was Drexel, founded by Anthony J. Drexel, an entrepreneur. So it was not a good time for me because I was an off-campus guy. The only campus facilities were mostly fraternities and sororities. And so we had a big night school there with old-time buildings, huge. And then a very, very small day school headed up by mostly Greek life people. So it's quite a drastic change. And so I just couldn't make it. I passed the courses just barely. I quit the next year in the sophomore year. Then I had second thoughts, went back a year later and tried it again and did well. I tried to get into the school and the whole thing. I joined Tau Kappa Epsilon, a social fraternity, which still has some fine friends today. Fraternities, let me know or put your hand up if I'm getting away from the mic or whatever. So this just changed my life around. And of course I was a year older as well, but I ended up getting involved in many activities, student government, et cetera. And I walked on and made the varsity basketball team and got a full scholarship on top of that. So that worked out well, and you see me here with that. Including other things. I had a second lead in a thespian play that was put on every year. And just in general, was a complete reversal and changed my life. So, graduated from Drexel then in 1961. And unfortunately, that was the year I lost my father. And my mother got much sicker. The mental disease that she had, for the nervous breakdown, just kept getting worse and worse. So at that point, after graduation, Vietnam was coming up into play. I was #1 in the draft. I could have got deferments. Those are the days when when everybody was drafted, and they still need universal military control as far as I'm concerned. So that's, don't get off on that. So I ended up going, and I didn't know what to do. We had a strong ROTC group, but I didn't want to go in and make that commitment. I wasn't looking to be an officer. I wanted to get in and out. So I joined a reserve 79th Infantry Division, which was near my home, and that turned out well. I spent 7.5 years in the reserve. Fortunately, wasn't called up to active duty. However, I spent 6 months in active duty training, and then every year we spent 2 weeks to a month training. So I felt that I, gave 7.5 years of to them, and I'm proud of that, and proud of my association. The time that I was in is the time period that was the combat going on, and even though I wasn't in the combat, that is why I got the veterans qualification and invitations to join these veterans groups. So I came home after the service looking for a job, and I was able to take care of my mother. I was only away for 6 months, and she went to Texas and lived with my sister for a while. I was lucky enough to get an immediate job with the Philadelphia Gas Works. They're, unlike most utilities, they were very different, particularly in those years. They only promoted gas and were very active, and they were, marketing-wise, they were competing with the electric company, who one of my fraternity brothers eventually became vice president, executive vice president of them. So it was them versus us, and one of the things that they offered, which is very unusual, they offered if anybody that was involved with the food service, restaurateur, a hospital, hotel, that used cooking equipment, which is very high input energy-wise, there's enough BTUs in a range to heat most fairly good-sized homes. And so you imagine batteries of these things, and particularly for like in-flight kitchens. We did a lot of work for most of the airlines, flight kitchens. There were in hospitals. We did most all the hospitals that Marriott was involved in, and so forth. So later on, when I started my own business. So at any rate, this was a way for me to segue myself and get to know the design, because we offered this design service if I got ahead of myself there, but we offered a design service if you decided that you would use all gas. So all these people would come in and out involved with the industry, and I ended up obviously working with the designers, and that's how I learned to design commercial kitchens. And then I went out and did some sales work with them as well. And next thing you know, I was hired away by General Electric, who of course made the largest maker of electric cooking equipment for the industry. And so I learned that side of the, and short story there is I went from sales specialist back to the company headquarters in Chicago, and ended up with them being the product manager for all their sanitation equipment and commercially in the United States. So that was going well. It was a nice career there. I was getting promoted, but I was getting tired of the old, that was before Jack Welch, if any of you are familiar with GE. And it was the good old boys, let's run it up the flagpole. The promotions were who you liked and not how good you were. It's kind of like the government in a lot of ways. So I didn't like that. I left that, myself and another guy, and we started Avtech Industries, Advanced Technology. And we're figuring, well, what could we really do? And one of my mentors, who actually was the president of the division of GE, said that when they look for companies and who to buy and who to start up with, the one mantra they used was, quote, find a need and fill it. So we're thinking, well, let's see, we're selling this cooking equipment and other stuff. There's a move for everything to go on wheels for sanitation, because there was a lot of sanitation movements going on in the country and so forth. And there was no big enough cord and plugs for these high energy equipment. So we worked with some of the industrial plug people, and were able to package something where the restaurateur or the designer or whoever could specify and get these equipment on wheels. And that blossomed into then adding some quick disconnects and gas connectors. In fact, we invented the commercial gas connector. Looks much like from the outside of the gas hoses when you fill your car up. And so we ended up doing that. We ended up putting wiring and plumbing in. We ended up making a whole package or utility wall and putting it in various places in the facility when it was being built, which greatly reduced the price of putting the utilities in. So we ended up pre-packaging in the high energy areas, the plumbing, the electric, the circuit breakers, the fire suppression systems, started manufacturing ventilation equipment with that, control systems, and energy management. So we ended up pioneering all those products and became the darlings of the industry, and were well known. We had a lot of awards, et cetera, et cetera. So things were going pretty well, except my slides. Okay, well, that's not too let me see. All right, no, I am telling you, I have the slides in the second 2 hours of the program. So let me catch up here a minute. Okay, I got to go back to the beginning. Just kidding. I can remember so much. I usually have my people do this. My partner thought he was the government, I guess, so he just spent and spent. And the good news was we were doing well. The bad news is we were losing a ton of money. And we couldn't determine, we couldn't come to agreements on how the company should be run. And, but we didn't have any money to make any difference. Fortunately, I changed churches at the time, and I must say, don't necessarily give the church credit, but there was a guy there that we met and ended up selling me some shares of stock in a well exploration company in Southern Illinois. And luck would have it or whatever, we hit on a couple of the wells, which reversed my personal finances around and enabled me to rid myself of the partner and take control of the whole company. So this worked out. He got some of the buildings. I was his tenant for a while only, built my own then. And he got our airplanes. We had 2 airplanes. And he had previously, with the thing that broke the camel's back, which I didn't say, he actually signed my name on a banknote, i.e. what they're trying to get Trump and so forth for, similar stuff. And, you know, not for one, but for 2 airplanes. And not for single, but twin engine airplanes. In the interim time that I was talking here, I was forced to become a twin engine, multi-engine instrument pilot because we used the plane somewhere to taking customers around and because my partner was buying them. So just happy to get rid of all that stuff, but I ended up becoming a pilot out of the whole thing and have some fun too, I might add. So the company continued to grow, and we I guess there's really not much to say other than we got, I don't want to read all these awards we got from the industry and so forth and so on. It can be looked up. But what happened then in 1997, I believe, hold on a minute. Okay. I'll get back to 1997 is we had a stage 4 cancer, colon to the liver. I didn't know what to do. I was going to, in Chicago, a mega church called Christ Church. Dr. De Kruiter was a well-known mega preacher in a mega church. There's a woman named Susan Meyer who I think was involved, her husband I think was involved there too. And she had liver cancer. She researched it. She had 3 hospitals that she had gotten through the National Institutes of Health. I went and visited all 3 with my wife. We ended up at Sloan Kettering, Dr. Human Fong. He saved our lives, cured at 1997, hadn't come back, and never will, at least there. So this was just a wonderful thing. It turns out Dr. De Kruiter, by the way, ended up being my Sunday school teacher at First Pres under our current pastor. So it's a small world. And I think Kurt has some relationships with the people at, or did anyway, at Christ Church in Chicago. So fast forward now to meeting Johanna, and we'll just hit, the 2 of us will talk about this and that'll be it. So Johanna, do you want me to start with my quick version of it, and then you can tell me where I'm wrong?
Can you do it quick?
Yes, ma'am. We ended in, we met at Steak and Ale in Chicago, in suburban Chicago. I was there, she was there at a sales meeting for the company she worked with selling, and we do have some slides here, hold on a minute. There's the 2 of us together, and we met at Steak and Ale, and she was out there, she was at the bar having a drink and had her money on the table with her drink, and then she went out and asked somebody, or they'd asked her to dance or whatever, and I had my eye on her. I was there, it was near my home and or condo, and I was hunting, so to speak. That's man talk. So next thing you know, dance is over, she comes back, and I wormed my way into the seat there, right next to, or 2 down, or 1 down from her, and she comes back and she's looking around and so forth, and you know, I'm looking at her, she's not paying any attention to me, so I kicked her. No, I said, pardon me, miss, I said, you know, I think there's a little problem here. She says, what? I said, well, I think the oh, by the way, I told the bartender, because it's very important, to take the money for my drink out of the money laying on the bar, and he thought it was mine. So she actually bought my drink. So I said, I think the bartender took your money to pay for my drink. I'm awfully sorry. But I said, don't worry, I'll buy the next one. And she says, oh my God, thank you. Little did I know I'd be buying them for the rest of my life. So,
Well, you're just lucky I do not drink anymore. So, saving you some money.
yeah, she stopped, yeah. She did. She stopped drinking, not because of that, but anyway. So it was really love at first sight, and we got married 6 weeks later. We didn't know what to do for the wedding. But the next slide will show what happens. They're the two of us. Now, we didn't know, a traditional wedding, 2 continents apart. Our parents had moved back to the Netherlands. Her brother was in Miami. My folks were spread all over. My closest to my sister and her family, because the rest had died. And incidentally, my mother did die a year after my father, or a year and a half. She unfortunately died of electrical shock treatment. So if you ever see what happens when the people do that, and I had to take her up to those things for I don't know how long. So I was kind of alone anyway. So what we decided to do was to have one big party combining the ceremony and the reception.
It was really an engagement party.
Yeah, right. We had about 20 couples we invited, plus her 2 boys, one in high school, one just out of high school and just getting a job at a foundry or something, and the second one just going into high school. So, and they were living with the father, and they were supposedly staying with the father. It didn't work out that way, but at any rate, they were there as well. So they all thought they were coming to an engagement party. Well, after a couple of drinks, we announced that we were going to, we said, casually, why don't we just get married? Why don't we just do it here? So we asked the bartender to come up, who was really a minister, dressed up as one, and he was drinking pretty good too. He was free on us. So anyway, he married us, and that was the trellis there, but we stood under. You can't see all of it, and we got married and lived happily ever after.
That was it. And I must say, I give you a lot of credit because you really saved my boys. You made sure that they went to college. You were just a great father to them. You still are. Like I said, you saved my boys, and I will always be grateful for that.
Thank you. It was, it made my life too, so obviously, so it's tit for tat. Okay, for you who are wondering, we're nearing the end, maybe another 45 minutes, hour. Here we are at our honeymoon. How did I thought I went too fast, no. Here we are at our honeymoon. We decided to take a world tour. We went to Venice, we went to Africa, and so forth. We did not take our children with us. There's two of our shots of our children, and the slides are a little out of order there. There we took it in my plane, and we flew the twin engine over the Atlantic, if you believe that, you know. And then, of course, back to Holland. So that ends it. How's that for a surprise ending? I thought I had another slide in there.
I want
but
to
guess
say one more.
I thought we had the other, you took the others.
I want to
yeah, wait a
say
minute.
one
There
more
are.
thing before we stop.
Okay, go ahead.
Is that I was really not brought up very religiously. We were Catholic and went to Catholic schools and all that. But there was never the true religion like some of you people have gone through. Actually, I did not get religion until I joined this church. That's a long time. And this church changed my life around. It really did. I've never felt that way before, but it's wonderful. And this church, gives you a sense of belonging. The people are wonderful, the pastor's wonderful. Everything is just great, and it has taught me a lot. I'm still learning, which is good. So I want to thank everybody for being here for me. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry we took so long, and sorry I got so confused. Believe it or not, I used to give one speech a week around the country, but that's 25 years ago. So thanks for bearing with me, and it was a pleasure doing it for you.
Thank you, Bruce and Johanna. I think at this point, if any of you have any questions, feel free to come up and they'll talk with you about them. We're really, really pleased to have both of you, and thank you so much for being a part of us. You are so welcome. It's a pleasure for us to be able to honor and glorify our God. And when you and I talked with Bruce, getting ready for this, you said, I have become closer and closer to God through all of the work, for all of the services here and the time she spent with this church, which is the most meaningful thing. I just was so touched by that. Thank you for what you said. Our next spotlight will be in, actually it's a May spotlight that's been scheduled for June 2nd because of all of the holidays in May, and that will be Eric and Dawn Barsh. So we welcome you to that, and we thank both of you so much for all the work that you put into this today. Thank you.